any sector in the economy to grow, an efficient means of capital formation must not be ignored, considering the importance of capital in any organization setting. Now, since the establishment of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, elements of stagnation, dormancy, and unproductiveness in the economy has been experienced, despite the tremendous development in the exchange systems. This situation has taken a worrisome dimension in which many questions are being raised on the relevance of the Nigerian Stock Exchange in facilitating investment in the Nigerian economy. Well, it would interest you to know that there is a whole lot of alternative investment vehicles that you should be aware of. Outside the world of familiar world of the stocks and the bonds, exchange traded funds, and other prepackaged products, now alternative investments may include venture capitals, private equities, hedge funds, real estate investment trusts, and as well as commodities. Well, these assets usually perform with low correlation to stocks and bonds. They may be difficult to value and are, of course, generally more liquid than traditional investments. Well, enough of all the talks. Now, let me introduce you to an expert in this who will dissect these issues for us. He is the Managing Director, First Ally Asset Management Limited, Winston Osuchukwu. Thank you very much for your time on the show.
Thank you for having me.
First, I would like you to shed more light on alternative investment opportunities. Tell us, give an insight into what is meant by the alternative, because we are used to the regular stock market and all of that. Give us an overview of that.
Well, alternative investments, as the name states, are just things that are alternative to what we're used to: stocks, bonds, and commercial paper, T-bills, money markets, as you said. They consist of private equity funds. Private equity funds run the different gambit, be it on the venture side, buyout, or what have you. Commodities, real estate, and other types of investments that are not your regular listed investments. Now, there's one thing that covers most of the alternative spaces. There's usually a heightened level of illiquidity, and sometimes a significant difference in the way risk can be measured in those instruments.
Let's look at Nigeria, where we'll find ourselves. How applicable has this been to our system?
Well, Nigeria has a number of private equity firms that operate in Nigeria. They are available for people to invest in, as long as they are what you would call a qualified institutional investor, or they are an institution. Currently, my firm is raising what will be the fourth real estate investment trust that's coming up in Nigeria, but it's going to be the first one that is focused on the retail related real estate, which is we're acquiring malls that already exist, already have cash flows, and allowing our investors to become part owners and part investors in those facilities.
So how challenging has this been? We know of the issue of trust and all of that. How has it been?
Well, it has been a process of education. One of the biggest things that comes in making any investment decision is understanding how the risks and what particular risk an investor is taking at every point in time. Once that understanding is reached, investors can then decide if they want your product or not. So what we've spent a lot of time with is speaking with all our potential investors and various clients to let them know exactly what it is we're doing, how much risk that we're proposing they take. And so far the response has been very, very positive.
Interesting. We've identified venture capitals, private equities, hedge funds, real estate investments, commodities, and all of that. Now let's do this one after the other. Let's look at the venture capitals. In strict terms, what does this mean to a layman?
Well, in strict terms, venture capital is you are going to invest in a company that 9 times out of 10 exists as an idea. So you're investing with a person, you're going in with a promoter of the company on the day he has decided to start the company. A lot of venture capitalists will invest in a company that has zero revenue, and like I said, they're investing in a business plan.
That's really, really interesting. Oh, now private equities, from the definition I have here, and there's an asset class in which financial buyers purchase stakes in companies that are not publicly traded.
That is correct, and that's why the word private. But so at the end of the day, so private companies cover any investment where you're not able to trade it on the regular exchange. So what is the big thing that comes with that? There is a significant amount of illiquidity that comes with a private equity investment. To be part of a private equity fund, you should expect to you should expect to have a lockup period, which is a period in which you can't pull out your money, of between 7 and 10 years.
Now, to hedge fund, that word is new. Hedge fund. Tell us about that.
Well, historically, hedge funds means of a portfolio of investments that are hedged against one another. But today, they've now been used generically to talk about people who trade usually public equities and derivatives, who trade it actively based on one strategy or the other. It can be people who do what is called a long-short system, where they go long one set of stocks and short another set of stocks, or various other strategies. So at the end of the day, hedge funds is trading in public securities, but trading them usually with a lot shorter duration and with a specific strategy in mind.
Indeed. Now, we're going to go on this break, and we'll be back, and I'll still be having Winston Osuchukwu here to give insight into issues around investments outside the regular capital market and also bond market. Stay with us on the show. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Business Nigeria, and we are looking at alternative investments that's outside the stocks and bonds. And I have with me the Managing Director of First Ally Assets Management Limited, Winston Osuchukwu, who's giving insight into these issues. Now, let's move to the real estate investment. I know that's a little common in the country. Many people are into this. But how can this really get attractive that it could impact to the growth of the economy? I'm very much concerned about this, because at this time we need to look outside the box.
Well, at the end of the day, if you look at the real estate market as a whole, you are investing in building. Once there's construction going on, what that will do is employs a lot of people. And in a country like Nigeria, where we have a very large population, the more construction we have, the more people you're putting to work, the more money that's getting in the system, and there are all these externalities. But more importantly, when the real estate is investments in real estate that supports some kind of sector. So like in the case of what we're investing in retail-related real estate. So think about it. When you build a mall, the average mall in Nigeria probably employs anywhere from 400 to 700 people. Those 400 to 700 people are working directly in the mall, but the people that supply those malls probably employ and support a factor of 5, 6, 7 of that. And this is outside of the people that built and operated the mall. So when you start investing in real estate that's devoted, that's focused on trade, there's a significant amount of benefit that flow through the entire economy. So at the end of the day, which goes to show why the government is pushing on investing in infrastructure. You invest in infrastructure, it supports different sectors of the economy, and it will begin to lift the country out of where it is.
Indeed, and even some say we could get out of recession with that if we're pumping money into investments, particularly infrastructure, in creating jobs and all of that. You agree to that?
Oh, of course. If you look at it this way, the more infrastructure you build, the more people you're putting to work. The more infrastructure you complete, the easier business becomes. And the easier business becomes, the less costs are. The less costs are, the more profit. The more profit I make, the more chances I expand my business and employ more people. So at the end of the day, it becomes a very virtuous cycle. And that is why every government, no matter what country they are on the planet, focuses on not just building their infrastructure, but maintaining their infrastructure.
Building and maintaining, indeed. Now, the commodities aspect of this is also very interesting, particularly at this time where we need to shift away from that. I insist, because it's very important we do move away from depending on crude oil. And when I saw the commodities, my mind went straight to the solid mineral sector and other sectors which we intend to adopt at this time. Now, what do you think, or what benefits can we get, with regards to alternative generation of funds from our commodities market?
Well, at the end of the day, first I must admit I am not a big fan of solid minerals for one simple reason. It's just replacing one thing with the other. You're replacing oil, which you're taking out of the ground, which is a finite material, to one solid mineral or the other, which you're taking out of the ground, which is a finite material. And all those materials, whether you like it or not, the prices are volatile and you have no control over it. However, there are other kind of commodities that we can be looking at that are sustainable, that are renewable, that will build it up. And this goes straight to the heart of agriculture. You look at things like cocoa, you look at shea butter, you look at cassava, corn. These are all things that we can do that are soft commodities that trade globally, but are more sustainable. And these are places where we can gain significant amount of significant amount of efficiencies in, and it does two things for us. Not only does it put people to work, not only does it put people to work and earn us foreign exchange, but it also secures the entire economy. Because I can tell you one thing, a hungry populace is a restive populace. And if our entire economy is based on agriculture, the chances that you'll see people coming out and doing things that are generally destructive to the greater economy, I believe would fall significantly. But that being said, going into the solid minerals area, that's a good place. That is a place that we can also go to. There's a lot of money that can be dug out the ground, but I think we should learn from where we've been before. We can do it, but that cannot be our focus going forward.
Mm-hmm. So you feel like the agricultural sector, but I see a lot of moves by this present administration to actually help, reactivate, if that's the word to use, of agricultural sector, industrialize agriculture and mechanize farming and all of that. I don't know if you want to make any comments on this. Do you see it as a step in the right direction? Are we actually towing the right line?
Well, at the end of the day, we're making I can say for sure that we're saying the right things. I can also say for a fact that we are seeing a lot more interest in agriculture across the spectrum. It's no longer just a few industrials, it's no longer just people, subsisted farmers. This is across the spectrum. Young people are now getting more and more interested in agriculture. But for agriculture to move to the next step, the number one thing you need to change is the way land is owned and allocated. Until people are able to gain title to their land, move land, acquire large enough tracts of land in a simple and in a relatively simple and painless manner, really growing the kind of mechanized agriculture we need will continue to be difficult. So we are moving in the right direction, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done across a number of spheres. But the one good thing that we can say that happened in the last couple of weeks, the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund has taken over the Abuja Commodities Exchange. Now, what that would do for the farmers is it starts giving them price discovery and starts to really pull down a lot of the wealth that they've left on the table thus far.
Interestingly, now, one more question in regards to agriculture. When we're talking about exports now, which we're talking about earning foreign exchange, which is the major challenge now, you are aware of that. I'm thinking about standards, packaging. These are very important things because we need to meet up with standards. How do you assess that?
Well, at the end of the day, meeting up with standards is just it's a conscious decision. It's waking up and making a conscious decision that I am not selling to the local market and I want to compete with everybody on the planet. And if you look around, in a lot of places where we've decided to do that, we've succeeded phenomenally. There's a company called Filmhouse Nigeria. Filmhouse Nigeria runs movie theaters across the country. Filmhouse made a conscious decision to deliver a high quality product, and they've done that. If you look at another Nigerian business, which is it's a coffee shop, name is escaping me now, but they did exactly the same thing. They said we are going to put out a quality product, same level as any you'll find anywhere in the world, and they've done that. So I don't think we should worry about packaging or no packaging. The people that want to and they are serious about this business will go out and do that. Oh, I remember the name of the shop now. It's Neo's Cafe. It's Neo's Coffee. So Cafe Neo, sorry. So people that really take pride in their business will deliver world-class packaging, world-class standards all the time. And people that won't do that will just fall by the wayside, and hopefully they will sell to the people that are willing to do the right things.
Okay. Now, as we round up, now, with the efforts by the government, again, trying to that, and we wanted to get a loan sometime last year, just trying to get us out of recession. Would you say they have done well with investing outside the equities market and all of that? Have they taken advantage of this alternative sources?
Well, at the end of the day, the government doesn't invest in any of those places. I think the government has done. Like I said, they've said all the right things, and there are some places where you can clearly see that they're doing what's necessary. I think the biggest thing that the government has done so far has been this push to revitalize the railways. Because if you get the railways working, the cost of doing business in Nigeria goes down significantly, because most people don't realize, but we have one of the most expensive costs of logistics on the planet. So if you start to reduce those costs, there are a number of things that happen. Number one, you'll be able to get goods from farm to market a lot faster, a lot cheaper, which will help everybody in the economy. But more importantly, you'll be able to distribute things around the country, and that will open a lot more markets to a lot more people. And it should give a lot of help into raising this economy, aside from the job you create while you're building it out.
That's the ease of doing business thing. That's what you're talking about now, right?
Ease of doing business is very important. At the end of the day, every investor has a choice of the 180 odd places or more that they can go and invest in. And the harder it is for people to do business in your country, the less likely that they'll be able to come. So making it easy for them to move around, acquire title, and adjudicate any problems that they do have, because those happen as a normal course of business. Those are the things that will attract businesses to your country, and you need to get those things done.
I always like to ask this question as we round up, because for an expert, I like your comments on the Forex challenge. I know you know of this. It's really eating hard. As of today, like 500 naira to $1. This will also not make investors come in.
Well, actually, it's not the value that's stopping investors from coming in.
It's really eating hard. As of today, like 500 naira to $1. This will also not make investors come in.
Well, actually, it's not the value that's stopping investors from coming in. Is the ability to freely change their local currency for their home currency. So at the end of the day, if you want foreign investors to come in, they have to be sure that when it's time for them to leave, that they are able to. So at the end of the day, any restriction to the repatriation of profits or the repatriation of capital at the end of any period will act as a disincentive for investors to come into your country. That is the rule of thumb. Because you can think of it this way. If I can invest money in Ghana today, but I'm not sure I'm ever going to get it back, would I go invest the money in Ghana? The answer is no.
Oh, well, the Winston Osuchukwu, Managing Director of First Ally Assets Management Limited. Must thank you for your time and insight on Business Nigeria today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, well, the Nigerian equities market closed the week in the green zone as the Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index trended northwards by 0.07% to settle the year-to-date return at minus 4.80%. In the banking sector, Zenith Bank led the pack of advances with 2.93% to close at 15.45 naira. Conversely, Fidelity Bank topped the underperformers list with minus 2.35% to settle at 0.83 naira, while Wema Bank remained unchanged at the close of trade today. The general market sentiment revealed that the number of gainers outweighed the number of losers at a ratio of 2 to 1, I beg your pardon, by the close of market today. Seplat led the pack of advances, while UAC Property topped the laggards list. Union Bank PLC was the most active on the chart of the top 5 movers with 51.63 million worth of contribution in volume. And last on the chart is Diamond Bank PLC with 10.70 million worth of contribution in volume. While Union Bank Nigeria PLC emerged as highest dividend yield equity with Oando PLC and Cornell PLC also making the list. But after that, now crude oil prices remains mixed in the global market on Friday as demand for the products drop. The London market, the Brent crude trades at $56 a barrel, while the OPEC basket brand trades lower at $52 per barrel. Analysts expect price jumps in the coming months. But that's our package for you today on Business Nigeria. Join us again another time for a fresh edition and, of course, a more topical issue. I am Tolu Lokwe Ogunjobi. I leave you with the figures of the exchange rates as it stands today. On behalf of the entire production crew, thank you for watching. Bye for now.